So there's this scene in The Punisher, the original Punisher back in 2000s, where Frank Castle is waiting for a drawbridge to drop, and while he's waiting there, in his rearview mirror he sees a car speeding up behind him, and what he does is he braces himself against the steering wheel and waits for the collision to happen. Now, as a kid, that made total sense, because you think when you're going to be rear-ended, what you'd want to do is brace your neck and keep your head from thrashing forward and back. But, as we've all learned from watching different news stories, it's the person who was drunk during a car accident that survives, or the person who was unconscious during the tornado that doesn't have any injuries. So why is that? Well, let's think about a bridge, and not the wobbly one that you always saw in physics class. We're talking about the gap joints in a bridge that allow it to expand and contract. But how exactly does that relate to your neck in a car accident injury? What the gap joints in a bridge show us is that even when something needs to be supporting a couple truckloads worth of weight crossing over it, it also needs to be able to move. When something is too rigid, it's not able to dissipate the force going through it, and the rigidity of that bridge would actually cause it to break. That's why today we want to talk about the bracing trap, how that locked kinetic chain, when you brace your neck after seeing a collision about to happen, actually can make the injury a lot worse. We'll talk about the different structures affected had you not seen the collision coming, steps you can take in the early stages of recovery to make sure that the swelling is minimized and that your pain is reduced, a nuance to normal exercises so that you're not doing anything that will overexert the muscles in your neck while also not overstressing the tendons and ligaments that are most likely sheared when you see a car accident coming. And finally, give you some solutions for long-term recovery. So let's get started. When we talk about a locked kinetic chain, what we're talking about is whenever your muscles contract and really brace those cervical spine bones. Think of it sort of like this dowel rod I found in my back room. It's sturdy, it's rigid, it was great whenever I used it as a broom handle, but it's also old. I have no clue how long it's been here. It's been here since I opened the practice over 5 years ago. So, if I were to use this dowel rod to hit something, it wouldn't have a lot of give, and would have a very high likelihood of snapping in half. That's not entirely too dissimilar from what you would be doing when you brace your neck because you see a car accident about to happen. Now, conversely, you can relax your neck, and we have something a little more akin to a leather belt. And the thing with a leather belt is, yes, we have the opposite issue where instead of overstability, we have hypermobility. And especially with the ligaments, tendons, and muscles in your cervical spine, we're going to be running a higher risk of ripping, or more specifically, shearing. So you'd be thinking, that's good. Bracing the neck would just be a safer option for you rather than running the risk of ripping a tendon or ligament. But that's the catch. Because normally, to see a car accident coming, especially a whiplash injury from behind, it means you're looking in your rearview mirror. Your neck is already rotated and extended, which is going to put increased pressure on your alar ligaments and your capsular ligaments. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, in a nutshell, it means if we could take off your skull and then push this circle of Willis out of the way, there's that little purple disc right around here. And that stem attaches to the front of your atlas, which is this C1 bone. Now, additionally, you have your capsular ligaments, and your capsular ligaments are going to be in between each of these vertebrae, where you're seeing that little shadowy part. And whenever your head is twisted, those ligaments are already stretched before the impact. Now, not only do we have issues with these ligaments, but we're still going to be experiencing issues with the discs in between each vertebra, but then additionally, because your head is rotated, we're going to do an excessive amount of damage to the proprioceptive nerves, the nerves that are responsible for gauging where your head is positioned in space, because they're all up here at the top of your cervical spine, which is where about 50% of rotation actually happens in your neck. So a lot of you are probably thinking, well, that's great, Dr. Beck. That sounds absolutely terrible because all of this is going to be messed up and there's really not a clear way to recover it, especially if all three of those structures are damaged just from a reflexive movement of bracing your neck. And that's exactly why we're going to talk about early stages of recovery and then also what you need to emphasize because most of this damage is occurring up here in the higher regions of your cervical spine. Initially, what we're going to want to do is ice the area because there is going to be a lot of swelling and soft tissue damage, and there's always confusion whether you should be using heat or ice after an injury. When it comes down to trauma, and whiplash is going to be an indirect trauma, especially if you brace yourself and then whiplash back and forth, using ice for 10 minutes at a time every 45 minutes to an hour will help your body to decrease the amount of fluid that accumulates in that soft tissue. From there, depending on what doctor you go to, you're going to have them either say completely immobilize that neck, or they're going to tell you to stretch it. When in reality, short of you experiencing a muscle or ligament tear or a bone fracture, we want to do something in the middle, which is not to overstretch, but not to completely immobilize that joint either, which is where we get into the emphasis on rotational movements. Because previously on this channel, we talk frequently about chin retractions and micro movements. That tiny head nod where once you pull your chin back, you look up and look down, holding each position for an isometric, meaning holding the end range for 6 seconds, 10 repetitions. But as we stated earlier, whenever you are in a whiplash injury and you're bracing because you know an accident is about to happen, normally it's because you see it in your rearview mirror, meaning your head is elevated and rotated. And so those become the ranges of motion we want to rehabilitate early on. And how that looks different from what we normally do is we still start with that initial movement where we pull the chin back, sort of like we're trying to make a double chin. But then what I want you to do is very small, turn to your left and hold 6 seconds. Back to center, reset, make sure the chin is still retracted, and then turn to your right. Hold for 6 seconds. 10 times each side. Additionally, because most of the time when we turn, we're actually going to extend our neck and stretch the longest coli muscles in the back of the cervical spine. What I would like you to try, once you feel like rotation is becoming a little less painful, is to rotate first to a point of comfort and then retract your chin, versus what we had been doing, which is to retract first and then turn. Order of movement isolates different muscles and different joints, but this way we're ensuring both sets of muscles can learn to contract and sustain a contraction regardless as to how you move your head instinctively. Not only is this going to help to stabilize those loose ligaments and those damaged discs from the impact of the injury, but it'll also help to recalibrate the proprioceptive nerves at the base of your skull, because that rotation is going to help stimulate them and give them a better sense of how your head is moving. But additionally, if you are looking for a better proprioceptive reset, what you can do is initiate that chin retraction and then pick a point on the wall for you to lock your eyes onto before you turn towards it, and hold. What this does is it gets the eyes and the muscles at the base of your skull to start communicating with one another and re-establishing a strong pattern. But for long-term recovery, to ensure that these micro movements do stabilize a joint while also making sure that a lot of scar tissue doesn't form over the old injury, it's going to be to your benefit to seek out a medical professional, whether that's a physical therapist, a massage therapist, or a chiropractor, because as scar tissue lays down, and it's going to lay down after any injury, even if you're doing the icing and the exercises, those healthcare professionals can help ensure that the scar tissue isn't getting laid down like a matted mess and is instead laying down in the direction of tension, so that when this injury finally heals, those overstressed ligaments aren't a prominent point of weakness from your injury. They may always be a little bit weaker than they were, but we can make sure that they are aligned in the right direction so that if an injury similar to this happens again, they're ready. And the muscles that help keep your neck stable are stronger than before. But I do realize that some of the times it's hard to get in to see a physical therapist, a massage therapist, or a chiropractor, or some people are just going to try to fix this on their own without medical advice. So, to make sure that you can recover as well as possible with as much guidance as possible, check out the free resources I have in the link down in the description. It's an entire library in terms of things you should be doing after a whiplash, things you should avoid after a whiplash like overstretching, nutritional supplements that you can consider to help with increased recovery and making sure that you have everything you need to recover fully, but then additionally codes that you can be using to get you better access to imaging for x-rays or MRIs. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, feel free to swing by the office because that would be awesome to get to work with you one-on-one. A lot of the time, whiplash injuries are the most fun cases I get to treat here at the office because a lot of people come to the office feeling hopeless, like they're not going to be able to recover, like this is going to be their new normal. But it doesn't have to be, and frankly that's what I enjoy most about it, is because rather than you feeling hopeless and like you're going to be stuck like this, after about a visit or two, people start realizing how easy it actually is to recover from a whiplash injury, assuming you're doing the correct stuff. And if the free resources and YouTube channel don't seem to be doing the trick, but you can't make it into the office, check out the Whiplash Recovery Blueprint, because that is a full step-by-step process for exactly what I would be doing in the office with my patients to help them get from day one after a whiplash injury all the way out to fully recovered without any dizziness, nausea, or neck pain. It's a month-long recovery to make sure that your whiplash is fully recovering without fear of overstraining or making this injury from a quick reflex last longer than it has to. And with that, I'm Dr. Beck. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please leave a like so YouTube knows to share it with more people so that this information can help more people get out of their injury and get back to making the most out of their one life.